Hello, how are you doing? It's finally time for a book haul. I'm very excited about this. It kind of feels like Christmas, but instead of getting presents, I paid for everything. But it's still kind of the same feeling, especially because this is like the first time I bought like a big amount of books this year, pretty much. Because as you may or may not know, because I mention it in like every video, I have a giant pile of unread books, and it's finally now, well, it was below 100 technically. I have banned myself from buying books until the pile is under 100. But since then I have obtained a bunch of new books, but technically it was under 100. So I just went crazy and I just bought, I have 22 books. And we'll go through all of them. I'll tell you how much I spent and yeah, where I got them and what they are. So right away, all of these I picked up for free at a local like public bookshelf. And before you think like, why did you take so many books out of the bookshelf, let me tell you, it's giant. It has a ton of books in it. The other day, I go there like once a week. The other day it had probably like 150 books. It looked like someone had like a collection that they donated there, which was crazy because there was like a book from 1945. There was some really valuable books there. I myself have given like, I think 5 or 6 books there and a whole bunch of clothes, so I'm feeling good about taking this many books. And let's go through all of them. Umberto Eco, The Name of the Rose, or Der Name der Rose. I don't really know that much about this book, except for that Umberto Eco seems to be a quite fascinating guy. He had like a giant library with like 30,000 books. It starts out with everything that starts out with maps or like, how do you call this in English? I'm not sure. But if a book has something like this, then I'm probably gonna like it. And got a beat up copy of what is it called in English? On the Razor's Edge, I think, by Somerset Maugham, an author which I always wanted to check out. This is in German, but I'm trying to be not as stuck up about the editions, you know. I'm quite a snob when it comes to what language to read in and what edition to read in, so I just picked this up because I always wanted to read this. Next up we got a book that I know absolutely nothing about, by a German author called Katharina Hagena, Der Geschmack von Apfelkernen. And it sounded kind of nice. It seems to be, it says, she tells a story of a woman, of a family, and every family saga, that's, you just have to say family saga and I'm probably gonna read it. It's one of my favorite genres or tropes in books. So that is the next one. Then we got Uncle Tom's Cabin in this really lovely, it's like a painting in this edition. Also just don't know a whole bunch about this, except for that it's a classic. And, if I can get it for free, then I'm gonna get it. Next up, this one I kind of manifested. Let me show you. Many months ago, I picked up these at another free bookshelf. This is Mein Name ist Agentenbein by Max Frisch and one of the first chapters of In Search of Lost Time by Proust. And I finished this one like yesterday and I was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to have more of these editions? And then the same day I found one, Georges Simenon, which is a name that I remember like someone called him like one of the most important influential authors of the 20th century, and I don't fucking know anything about them. So Der Mann, der den Zügen nachsah, the man who looked after the trains or something. Don't know anything. Probably gonna go in it like quite blind. And yeah, that's a nice challenge to find as many of these editions as I can. There is oh no, there's 50 in total, so that's quite a lot to collect there. These ones I bought as used copies for €2 each. Call of the Wild by Jack London. This, I think, was it The Catcher in the Rye? Some book that I read mentioned this author, and then I saw this at a used book pile in my local bookshop, and I didn't buy it, and then I couldn't stop thinking about it, and then dreamed about it, because it's also, you know, in this Anaconda edition that I like so much, which I also say in every video. And then I went back the next day and I was like, oh man, I hope it's still there. And it was. So I think this is written from the perspective of a dog, which seems interesting. And then I got the Dry by Franz Kafka, which I had another copy of that I gave away now. It was like really flimsy, cheap paper. It was like really beat up from me reading it once. So I thought I might as well get a nicer copy. And also I have almost all of my Kafka books from this publisher, Anaconda. So this is it. And then all of these next ones I bought at Medimops, which is, if you're German, then you probably know this site. It's a site where you can just buy used stuff, used media. And I like to buy my books there. And they don't have everything, but they do have some pretty good deals. I picked up all of these for as cheap as I could. I always pick the cheapest editions, which you can probably tell, you know, they're pretty beat up, but sometimes, to be honest, I prefer that. We got, like, even the first one here, it's like stains and creases and folds, but also it cost me like €3, so I think that's kind of worth it. We got Cavalier and Clay by Michael Chabon, which I heard many good things about. A lot of people very, very much like it, and I think it's about, it seems to be about the 40s in New York, and like the comic book scene, or like, I don't know if there was a scene, but it's about comic books in the 1940s, and I thought it sounded interesting, and a lot of people really love it. Next up, Albert Camus, The Plague. I read The Stranger earlier this year, and I did like it. I didn't love it completely, but I thought it was I really liked the writing style, and it really resonated with me. And also, you can really brag about reading Camus like that if you say, you know, I'm gonna go home and read some Camus, then everybody's like, wow, what a smart guy. So I got The Plague. I wanted to get Sisyphus also, which I could, well, I have tons of books obviously which I couldn't get my hands on, but this one I did get my hands on. The Plague by Albert Camus. Then we got Brighton Rock by Graham Greene. The nice thing is I have my want to read list on Goodreads, and I think it's way more than 400 books, and some of them I added so long ago that I don't even remember how they came to my attention, but I know that I'm interested in them, and this is one of those books where I don't really know much about it, but it was on my reading list, so I picked it up. What do we have next? We got James Baldwin. Finally. Yeah, this is also like a nice edition. But I'm seeing it's in German. Well, this is, you can see here the main disadvantage on Goodreads, which happened to me many times, is that sometimes the English title of a book and the German one are similar or the same. I'm not sure if this is actually the same title in English, but I should look for the publishers, but sometimes they don't give the publishers, and then something like this can happen because I wanted to read it in English, but now I ended up buying it in German. I'm trying to be not as stuck up about the editions, you know. Probably still gonna read it, you know, but it's not gonna have the same, you know, the same vibe, the same feeling, the same colorful language. So it happened to me at least 3 or 4 times before, but that's, you know, that's what you have to deal with when you buy books for cheap. Bit sad, but what can you do? We got the biography of Günter Grass, who the more I read by him, the more I'm growing to like him, and I think he's definitely one of my favorite German authors by now. And I read 4 books by him, and he has a quite interesting story, because he used to like fight for the Nazis in the SS, and then he completely like changed his political views and ways, and which also obviously is like reflected in his books. And I always wanted to know a bit more about this, so I bought his biography. And I haven't read biography in ages, so excited for this one. Ooh, we got a big boy. This, for example, is the reason that I love buying used books, because this is the complete, well, not the complete works, the complete novels and novellas of Joseph von Eichendorff. He wrote some poems also, but I'm not very much into poems as of now, so I bought this, and look at this book. And you know what it cost me? It cost me like $3.50. Can you believe that? This is gonna keep me entertained for weeks. And it cost me $3.50, so yes. Sometimes you make deals like this, and sometimes you make deals like this, you know? It happens. This is kind of the fun of doing this. Then I got I think this is the cheapest book I bought. I think this was like €2, and it seems to be in pretty good condition. Someone recommended this to me in the comments, where in my German books that you should read, because they said basically All Quiet on the Western Front is just mid in Stahlgewittern, and then they gave me a reading list, which was really nice, for Ernst Jünger, and so I picked up the first one, Auf den Marmorklippen, and I'm probably gonna get to this quite soon, because they hyped it up like a lot, and that made me really excited to read it. So, Auf den Marmorklippen by Ernst Jünger. Oh, this one I'm really excited for too. And it's a nice, very nice edition. Wow, look at that. That is cool. It's The Sailor Who Fell from Grace with the Sea, which by Yukio Mishima, which I also wanted to read for ages. I read another one by him, but the title of this book always made me like really interested in it, and Mishima also like such an interesting character and such a controversial figure also. I always like a bit of controversy, you know. I gravitate to things that are controversial, and I like to think about them and build my own thoughts on them, and this person definitely is one of those characters. And quite a short read. I think we'll manage. I think this was one of the more expensive books that I bought. I think it was like €6 or something. Next up, we got Collected Shorter Plays of Samuel Beckett, which I really wanted to pick up another Beckett. And for this one also, though, the way I went at it, I knew that this was published by Faber and Faber, and that they publish in English. So, because sometimes on the internet they don't give you the language that the book is in, and it also didn't even show which tunes were in it, and it seems that I know none of them, which is perfect. I love Beckett. I think he's one of the best, if you even want to call him a writer. Technically he's a playwright, but man, my old roommate and me, we constantly used to like like as a joke, we talked as in like a Beckett play, because he was an actor, my former roommate, and we made up like tons of Beckett dialogues, and we even wrote like some kind of Beckett fan fiction, you could call it. We wrote some short plays that were like really very much inspired by him, and I just love him, and I want to read as much by him as I can, and I'm very excited for this. Give him a chance. Samuel Beckett, a true genius. Then, Marlen Haushofer, Die Wand, which is a book that I saw Leaf by Leaf talk about. That guy talks about very weird and niche and interesting and experimental books. And yeah, this one I saw that it was written in German, and so I just picked it up. Whoopa, I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, well, someone drew on this with a ballpoint pen, apparently. I read If on a Winter's Night a Traveler, I read earlier this year. I loved it. That book made me understand what postmodern literature means, because I always heard that term and it sounded so smart, and I never could fully like grasp the concept of postmodernism in literature, you know? And that kind of made me understand it a bit more. And then I looked up some other of his books, and this apparently is about a guy who just climbs in a tree and then never touches the ground again, which sounded weird enough for me to be interested in it. Pretty beat up, but yeah, as I said, I did try to always pick the cheapest option, kind of, you know, as a challenge, or like to show you that you can buy this many books for really cheap. Then I got Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, which, you know, is a classic that some people might be shocked that I haven't read yet. I tried to make sure that I got the 1818 text, because it was republished, I think about 10 or 20 years later, in a censored and toned down version. So if you're getting this for the first time, then make sure to get the original text from 1818. That's pretty old. 1818. Yeah, we'll see how I like it. I'm definitely gonna like review it when I did read it. Okay, I got 3 more. We got the Aeneid. Aeneid? What is it called in English? I'm not sure. But some very old epic poem by Virgil. I'm seeing that as kind of like a preparation to read Dante's Inferno. And also because it's like world literature that I would like to, you know more about. And epic poetry, I only read the Homer's works, and they are like in an old ass edition from like 1850, and so they're barely comprehensible to me, and I hope that this is gonna be a bit easier for me to understand. We'll see. And then the last 2. Oh man. Well, this is also, well, no, it's fine. This is not the edition that I thought it was gonna be. I'm trying to be not as stuck up about the editions, you know? But, well, it had a different cover. I have... Well, I should say the name. It's the first one of the Joseph books, which is a quadrilogy by Thomas Mann. I wanted to get all of them in this edition. And it is a Fisher edition, but it's not the same one, which is fine. You know, one of the downsides of ordering. It's kind of funny also. But yeah, this is the first volume, I hope, because the last time I bought the 3rd one. But this, I'm pretty sure this is the first one. And yeah, Thomas Mann, very, very pleasant to read. So I'll get to this shortly. And then last, but probably not least, Undine by Friedrich de la Motte Fouquet, probably it's pronounced, I guess. Which is another book that was on my reading list, and I have no memory of it getting there. But you know, short read, seems to be completely new, and yeah, that seems to be about it. I don't think I can lift up all of them at the same time, but I got a whole bunch of books here. 22 of them, and I also calculated for you how much I spent, because a bunch of them I obtained completely for free. The other ones I bought used in a bookstore, and the other ones I ordered used online. And for all of these books I spent 61 euros and 29 cents, which divided by 22, that's 2 euros and 78 cents per book. That is extremely fucking cheap. And you see, if I bought them new, I would have been able to probably buy 3, maybe even 2 books, you know? So yeah, this is kind of a call and a way to show you that you can buy books like quite cheaply. And you may not always get what you expect, but that's kind of, you know, that's kind of the fun of it. Sometimes, you know, sometimes you get like signatures or old writings or old markings. Sometimes you get like, you know, little notes, they're like dedications, you know, all these kinds of, well, it's kind of a patina of the book, you know. That's something that you can only get when you buy used, which also makes the book so much more alive and so much more interesting to me. So yeah, in praise of buying used books, that was my book haul. See you next time. Then I got the trial.